this inequality sign are the same. Okay, that is less than or equals to on all the side. Okay, since they are less than or equals to on all side, we just have to move on by adding a slack variable, that is x plus 3y plus a slack variable, that is s1, is equals to what? 240. You add a slack variable so as to move this inequality sign to an equality sign. The next one, you have 3x plus 4y plus s2 is equals to what? 370. And next one, you have 2x plus y plus s3 is equals to what? 180. That's our next equation. On the other side, you have to move this 4x plus 6y on the side. Okay, that is max z. Okay, max z minus 4x minus 6y is equals to 0. This is our next equation. Let them represent this on a table, that is a matrix. Having this on a table, that is equation, we are just going to take 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 0, 0, 0, 240. That is equivalent to this one. There is S1, that is 1. S2, there is no S2, we put 0, 0. The next one, we just put 3, that is for S1. 4, that is for Y. Okay, you ask me why there is S2 here. We just took S2 equals to Y. While drawing, we just ignore this. Okay, that was an error. You just consider as x2 is equals to y. For where you see x2, you know that is equals to y. Your substitution, if you have 3, 4 plus 0, there is s2, that is 1, 0, 0, 0, and 370. For the last one, we have 2x, okay, that is for x, for y, 0 for s1, 0 for s2, and 1 for s3, and 0 for the level of z, okay, and the solution is 180. For this last one, that is equals to 0, we are going to have in what? Negative 4, negative 6, 0, 0, 0, 1 for z, and that is equals to 0. We are just going to do iteration. Since we have a negative number at the denominator, that is this last row, we're going to carry out row echelon form so as to have a positive number here. Why are we objecting to have a positive number here? Because in this initial equation, they say x and y are greater than or equals to 0. Okay, in case they say x slash y is less than or equals to 0, we are just going to be having negative at all sides. Okay, that the value will be less than 0 or equals to 0. But here we are asking for greater than 0. Okay, if we were asking for less than, we must have a negative here to end. But in this case, we are asked for greater than 0. Okay, our objective is to have a positive number at this last row. Okay, that is a maximization row. Then let's find the pivot column. To find the pivot column, we take the most negative element at this last row. The most negative element here is what? That is what? Negative 6. Okay, therefore our pivot row, our pivot column, sorry, is this one. To find the pivot row, how are we going to do? We do the ratio. The ratio is what? Dividing the solution row, the solution column divided by the pivot column. 240 divided by 3. 240 divided by 3, you are going to have 80. You can solve it using your calculator. 80. 370 divided by 4, you have 92.5. Okay. 180 divided by 1, we have 180. Therefore, this our pivot row is the less positive. The less positive at this level of the ratio is what? 80. 80 is less than 92, that is less than 180. Therefore, our pivot row is at this point. Okay, this is our pivot row. And our pivot element is what? Pivot element is equals to 3. Then, our next objective is to have a basis at this pivot column. That is 1. That is 1, 0, 0, 0. This is called a basis. The pivot element needs to be 0. It needs to be 1, sorry. And to have a 1 at this pivot point, okay, you need to divide this row 1 by 3. Dividing 3 by 3, we are going to have 1. Okay, let's solve it simply. We divide this by 3 to have what? 1 divided by 3, 1. 3 divided by 3, 1. We must do like that, dividing this pivot by 3. Okay, by the pivot, that this element, that is a pivot, dividing the pivot element by itself. Okay, that is 3. Having 1/3, 0, 0. The last one is 240 divided by 3, that is 80. To find now this row 2. That is new row 2 is equal to, our objective is to have what? A 0 at this point, a 0 here. To have a 0 here, that is equal to R2 minus 4 new R1. What is a new R1? This new R1. Okay? R2 minus 4 new R1. You ask yourself, why are we using R1? We must use R1 because we choose this as the pivot. This is our pivot element. And to pivot using a row echelon form, we always use this pivot point to solve for the other entries. Okay? Hope is clear. Then move on. Negative 4 minus 4. That is 0 here. Okay? 3 minus 4 times 1/3. That is 5 on 3. The next one is 0 minus 4 times 1/3. 4 times 1/3, you have negative 4 on 3. The next one is 1 minus 4 times 0 is 1. Okay. The next one is 0 minus 4 times 0 is 0. The next one is 0. Okay. Minus 4 times this 0, you have 0 here. The next one is 370. 370 minus 4 times 80. 370 minus 4 times 80, we are going to be having 50. Then move to the new R3, this new R3 here. New R3 is equals to what? We are already having what? New R3 we take from R3. R3 is, your objective is to have a 1 here. 1 minus this 1 is equals to 0. That is equals to what? R3 minus new R1. R3 minus new R1, that is 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, 2 minus 1/3 is 5 on 3. Okay, let's use another pen so I should see it well. 2 minus 1/3 is 5 on 3. Okay, 0 minus 1/3 is negative 1/3. 0 minus 0 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0, this 0 minus this 0 is 0. Okay. 180 minus 80 is equals to 100. Then let's find the new R4. New R4 is equals to what? We are having this R4, that is this one. That is R4 plus 6 new R1. Since we have already a 6 here and our objective is to have a 0 at this level, that is 6 plus 6 is 0. Okay, this negative 6 plus 6 times 1, that is 0. We take this negative 4 plus 6 times 1/3 is equals to negative 2. 0 plus 6 times 1/3 is equals to 2. 0 plus 6 times 0 is equals to 0. 0 plus 6 times 0 is equals to 0. 1 plus 6 times 0, okay, is equals to 1. Hope not to make an error at this point while doing this row echelon form. And the last one is 0 plus 6 times h is equals to 4h. That is our new table. That is a new table from the first iteration, and the table is represented like this. At this point now, we will notice that you have again a negative entry. Since you have again a negative entry, you have to do a second iteration. I know we hate a lot doing a lot of iteration, but we are forced to do that. Okay, our pivot column is what? This one. Since it's the most negative element, there's no more negative part. This is the most negative, and at this point you have to find the less positive from the ratio. As usual, you have to do h divided by 1/3, that is 240. 50 divided by 5 on 3, that is 30. 100 divided by 5 on 3, that is 60. Here is 0. We take down the less positive element. The less positive element here is this one. Therefore, our pivot is equals to what? This element That is what? 5 all over 3. Our pivot is 5 all over 3. Okay, hope it's okay for this point. The pivot is 5 on 3. Okay, our objective is to have a basis here that is 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. And to have a 1 here, we divide this by this entry that is 5 on 3. Okay, let's do it here. To have the new that is arrow 2. Okay, the pivot is at the level of arrow 2. New arrow 2 is equals to what? Arrow 2 divided by, we set about what? 5 on 3. 5 on 3. Okay, we're going to have arrow 2 divided by 5 on 3. I'm just going to have what? Arrow 2 divided by 5 on 3. To have the first one, that is 1. Just a pen, that is 1 here. 0. Where is arrow 2? That is this one. 0 divided by 5 on 3, you have 0. Negative 4 divided by that is 4. Here is 4 on 5, sorry. 4 on 5, okay. Not 4 on 3, here is 4 on 5. 1 divided by 5 on 3, you have 3 feet. 0 divided by 5 on 3, you have 0. 0 divided by 5 on 3, 0. 50 divided by 5 on 3, you have 30. Then let's find new arrow 1. New arrow 1. We are still going to use the pivot as the pivot. Our pivot point is what? This arrow 2. This is our pivot point. This arrow. This new arrow 2. Okay. This is our pivot point. I want to use it. Okay. Therefore, J1 here. Our objective is to have what? 0 at this point. To have 0 here is what? This arrow 1 plus. Okay, that is minus. Okay. Minus 1/3. Minus 1/3. New arrow 2. Arrow 1 minus 1/3. New arrow 2. Let's compute it by yourself. We got arrow 1. Okay. This 1/3 minus 1/3 times 1. We are going to have 0. Okay. This 1 minus 1/3 times 0. We are going to have 1. This 1/3 minus 1/3 times negative 4 on 5. We are going to have what? 3 on 5. This 0 minus 1/3 times 3 on 5. We are going to have what? Negative 1 on 5. We take down this 0 minus 1/3 of 0. We are going to have 0. And this one, this 0 minus 1/3 of 0, we are going to have 0. And this other element that is h minus 1/3 of 30, we are going to be having 70. Okay. Let's solve the next one. The next one is to find new arrow 3. New arrow 3 is equals to what? Where is arrow 3? We have already 5 on 3. It's 5 on 3. Where is arrow 3? Minus 5 on 3 of new arrow 2. I know some guys will be tempted to just do this 5 on 3 minus this 5 on 3 to have 0. I want to have 0, but you are not going to have the answer since you didn't obey the law, because you need to use the pivot point, that is this one. Okay, that is arrow 3 times negative 5 on 3 minus 5 on 3 of new arrow 1, that is this one. Let's solve it together. We are at row 3. Okay, like this 5 on 3 minus 5 on 3 of this one. We are going to have 0. 0 minus 5 on 3 of 0 of this 0. We are going to have 0. Negative 1/3 minus 5 on 3 times negative 4 on 5. We are going to have 1. 0. You are going to compute by yourself because we already did that in the back end. 0 minus negative 5 on 3 of negative 3 feet. We are going to have negative 1. 1 minus negative 5 on 3 of 0. We are going to stay with 1. Okay. 0 minus 5 on 3 of 0. We are going to have 0. 100 minus 5 on 3 of 30. We are going to have 50. That's our answer. Let's then solve for the last point, that is NR4. NR4. Okay, this R4. Okay, we're having what here? 0. Okay, let's take from up here. Okay, up here, we're having negative 2. That is R4 plus 2 new R1. So have a 0 at this point. You have to add with this new R1 with this one. Negative 2 plus 2 times 1. We have a 0. Let's use a pen that is a bit dark. Okay. Negative 2 plus 2 times 1. We have 0. 0 plus 2 times 0. We have 0. 2 plus 2 times negative 4 and 5. You have 2 feet. 0 plus 2 times 3 feet. You have 6 all over 5. Okay, 2 times that. 0 plus 2 times 0. You have 0. 1 plus 2 times 0. You have 1. And the last one is 4h plus 2 times 30. You have what? 540 at this point. Hope you understood well all this calculation and manipulation. I'm sure you're understanding it, because this is one of the best video in solving simplex method. Using simplex method in solving this type of equation. Our initial equation was what? Let's come back a bit. Sorry for that. We have 4x plus 6y. Max z is equals to what? 4x plus 6y. We told you that y is equals to x2, because y drawing the table, we instead consider but x2. I'm going to draw the table because of that. Okay, and this x2, you know that is y. Okay, let's move on. Plotting this, okay, that is carrying this table that we plot here and bring it here to see it better and analyze. Now this is a basis, this is a basis, this is a basis, and here is a basis. Okay, from here we can directly conclude that what? Let's draw using a line that x1, where there's 1, okay, we equate it with this value x1, x, okay, x is equals to what? 30. X2 that is equals to y is equals to what? The level of 1 is equals to this 70. And what? Maximum of z, that is z, okay, this z is equals to this point. Okay, z is equals to this point, that is equals to 540. 540. Substituting this in our equation, that is max z is equals to what? 4x plus 6y. 4x plus 6y. Substituting the value to show that we had the real value is equals to substituting, that is 30. 4 into 30 plus 6 into what? 6 times 70. Okay, 6 into 70. If you compute this, you are going to find that the answer is what? 540. That is the amazing answer to this question. 540 is the solution, is the answer. Okay, showing that we solve it well, and we clap for ourselves for have done this. Let's then jump into a recap. The recapitulation is just explaining everything we did in this video and adding some other things. Hope you are watching this video to this point, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, just subscribe at this point and give a like button and drop a comment to encourage us. Okay, if you have an equation that is a minimization equation, mean of z, to convert this to a maximization equation, that is equals to negative maximization max of z of minus z. Okay, in case you have an equation like this one we had, that was instead a minimization equation, that is mean of z is equals to what? 4x plus 6y. 4x plus 6y. Okay, we should just take that the minimum equation was this instead, so I should have the same value. That should be confused again. Minus 4x, that is an equation that we take randomly. 4x minus 6y. This is our minimum equation. We have to find the minimization, that is minus 4x minus 6y, given the same constraint as earlier. Therefore, to convert this to a maximization equation, we are going to find max of minus z is equals to what? We negate this, that is 4x plus 6y. Okay, and you're going to find this max z, that is, in our case, we had what as answer? That is 540. Answer is 540. Okay, therefore our initial principle was to find the minimization equation. Okay, therefore the mean z is equals to what? Negative of this 540, negative 540. Okay, that is the answer. Finally the answer. Okay, because it's difficult using a minimize to minimize a, in case of minimization, to solve using the simplex method. That is why you have to convert first into a maximization before computing. Hope you understood this formula. That is what? Min z is equals to what? Negative maximum z of minus z. Encircle this part. Okay, in this point the pivot point is always 1 and the remaining entries are 0, and this form what we call a basis. That is what we call a basis. Okay, 1 0 0 0, we call this a basis. Okay, it's an I here, we call this a basis. And to do the raw echelon form, we always find a pivot point. The first thing to do is what? Divide the pivot row by the pivot point. Okay, if you have a pivot point that is 4, you divide that row by 4. That is a row divided by 4 to find the new pivot. And you are going to use this new row pivot to find the rest of the entry as we did earlier. Okay, hope you understood this part. What to add again? Okay, this important point, this important part. If you have an equation that is x plus 6y less than or equals to negative 20, okay, less than or equals to negative 20, we can't solve this equation because there's a negative at the solution. You have to bring this part at this other side. That is what? Multiplied by negative. Every side that is negative x minus 6y greater than or equals to 20. Since then it is greater than or equals to 20, we aren't going to add a slack variable. We are going to subtract a slack variable here. That is what? Oops. That is, let's erase this part. The slide already exhausted. Okay. I'm just going to use like this. Subtracting the slack variable, the equation will be minus 6 minus 6y minus s1 is equals to 20. Okay. That is what you have to do instead. Okay. If you have an equation that is x plus, like an equation x plus y is greater than 5, x minus y minus 3y less than or equals to 4, we also find this one. You are just going to make so that all these resemble each other. So that's the first thing to do. Okay, but in this case, if you multiply by negative, here you have a negative number here. It's not good. Okay, the thing you have to do here is what? You have to have x plus y. You subtract s1 here on the first one is equals to 5, and on the second one you have x minus 3y. Since it's less than, we add a slack variable. That's x2 is equals to 4. But in the case where you had at this point negative 5, consider you had negative 5 here, you're just going to multiply everywhere by negative. That is negative x minus y less than or equals to 5. Okay, that is what you are going to have. And x minus 3y less than or equals to 4. I'm going to add a slack variable here, that is minus x minus y plus s1 equals to 5 x minus 3y plus s2 equals to 4. Okay, that is what we're going to have here. Hope you understand this part. If you understand, drop in the comment box. And also don't forget that we created a Discord account where you can join, that is math lovers, and start discussing about math issues. Join me on our Discord account. The link is found in the description of this amazing video. Okay, I think we came to the end of this amazing video. Hope you understood everything, and if you understand anything, drop in the comment box. We are going to make another special video only for you. Thanks for watching this video to the end, and if you didn't subscribe to our channel, please drop the subscribers button. Bye.